بطرس وبولس إلى
Wait,
رومية.
who? Butros and Bolus?
Yeah.
Wow, Qurtubi says,
To
and
Rome.
Peter and Paul?
To Rome.
Can you go to Ibn Kathir? Start reading from verse ayah 13 about the three messengers. Three messengers. He's going 13. To tell you that the Salaf say it's Shamoun, Yohanna, Bolus.
Okay, I see it. Okay, so
who is it? What are the names?
Yeah. So then Shamoun, Yohanna, and Bolus.
Wait. Ibn Kathir says that the names are Shamoun, Simon, Yohanna, John, and Bolus, Paul.
Yes, Shamoun, Yohanna, and Paul. Yeah, Bolus.
What's going on here, brother?
So what about the Antioch part? Is that correct?
Ibn Ishaq stated that among the apostles and disciples that Jesus sent to preach, there were Peter and Paul who went to Rome, Andrew and Matthew who went to the land of the cannibals, Thomas who went to Babel in the eastern lands, Philip who went to Africa, John went to Daxos, which is the tribe to whom the sleepers of the cave belonged, Jacob went to Jerusalem, Bartholomew went to the lands of Arabia, specifically Al-Hijaz, Simon who went to the barbarians, Judas and Barthas who went to Alexandria and its surrounding regions. Allah supported them, the apostles, with evidence so that they prevailed, Thahirin, meaning they became the party with the upper hand. Hello everyone. In this video, we will learn from Mr. Shamounian about a tradition in Islam that refers to the Apostle Paul as a messenger. There are indeed many objections to the apostleship of Paul, especially from critics among Muslims, particularly Muslim polemicists. For some reason, they seem to strongly dislike or have an aversion to the Apostle Paul. The Apostle Paul was born and lived in the 1st century CE, long before Islam itself came into existence, as Islam only emerged in the 7th century CE. We will explore how the Apostle Paul, often labeled as the Dajjal, Antichrist, or a false prophet by Islamic critiques, is ironically mentioned in Islamic tradition as a messenger of God. Let us take a moment to watch the following video.
Where is the mention of Paul? Where is the mention? Paul is the one who wrote the most. So where is the mention of him?
Yeah, and in fact, if I follow the Quran, and I wrote an article, you read the Arabic, you have commentators that are commenting on 61 verse 14 of the Quran, and many of them are getting from Ibn Ishaq, and they're commenting on chapter 36 of the Quran, verses 13 down, the three messengers, and they say it was Peter, Simon, John, and the third who came to strengthen was Bolus, Paul. I have the...
Yeah.
Okay, wait. So even the Salaf, Ibn Kathir says that the Salaf said this, like Qatada said, Paul, Simon, and John. And then Ibn Ishaq narrates that Allah kept his promise to Jesus in fulfillment of 61:14 and 355, where he says that your followers will be uppermost against the unbelievers, and I'll make them victorious till the day of resurrection. Ibn Ishaq reports this, and Qurtubi cites it in his commentary on 61:14. He goes, and the followers that Allah strengthened and sent out to spread the message and dominate, Peter and Paul who went to Rome. So they're actually confirming Peter and Paul being companions who went by the power of Allah to spread the message of Jesus, which is why the Christian message became uppermost and victorious and dominated. And according to 355, they would be uppermost till the day of resurrection.
Wow.
Yeah, you didn't know this? Yeah, I thought you knew this.
I didn't know that there was any mention of Peter and Paul. I didn't.
And okay. Here. Do you read Qurtubi in Arabic? Do you have him online?
Yeah, I can go to Qurtubi.
Can you go to Qurtubi on his commentary in Surah Al-Saf 61 verse 14? Read in Arabic, you're going to see he mentions Bolus and he mentions Shimon, Peter. And he says Ibn
Saf, verse what?
61, it's chapter 61, verse 14. Find it. When you find it, let me know. I'm going to send you an article.
I see it.
What does it say? Read in Arabic slowly.
So I mean the exegesis is very long.
Just go to the part. Go to the part where he mentions Peter and Paul. You get there. You'll get there. Look for it. Take your time.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And I'm going to send you the link to the article in your comment section. I think Jai's been sending the article. So guys, Jai sent you the link to my article. Click on it, save it. That should be the one. Unless I got that right. Okay, do you see it?
Okay, I see it.
Antioch was one of the major centers for the spread of Christianity in the 1st century AD, where the disciples of Jesus were first called Christians. Acts 11:26. Disciples of Jesus, such as Simon Peter, John, and Paul, had a close relationship with this city as a hub for missions and the spread of the gospel to the non-Jewish world. When Muslim scholars, such as Al-Qurtubi and Ibn Kathir, interpret this verse, they cannot completely disregard the historical context and the Christian oral traditions that developed in the Middle East, where the story of Jesus' disciples was widely known. In his interpretation, Al-Qurtubi mentions the possibility that the messengers in Surah Yasin could be the disciples of Prophet Isa, including Paul. However, he does not draw a definitive conclusion and states that this is one of several opinions. His interpretation suggests 1. Influence of Christian tradition. Names such as Simon Peter, John, and Paul appear in the tafsir as a result of the cultural and intellectual contact between Muslims and Christians in Andalusia, where Al-Qurtubi lived. 2. Al-Qurtubi's life in Andalusia. Al-Qurtubi's life in Andalusia, a region with a significant Christian community, allowed Christian discourse to influence Muslim interpretations of historical figures. 3. Christian oral and written traditions in the Middle East. The Christian oral and written traditions that developed in the Middle East clearly influenced the way Muslim scholars understood this verse. 4. Narration by Wahb bin Munabbih. The narration by Wahb bin Munabbih, an early scholar with profound knowledge of Jewish and Christian traditions, mentions that the messengers in this verse were the disciples of Prophet Isa. Wahb was one of the key narrators who often connected Quranic stories with Jewish Christian traditions, Israeliyat.
Wait, who? Butrus and Bolus?
Yeah.
Wow, Qurtubi says, and Peter and Paul?
To Rome.
Qurtubi? And he's calling Ibn Ishaq? Because it's from Ibn Ishaq. And Tabari quotes it, and Ibn Hisham quotes it. They all quote it. And I just sent you the link. And here, you want to see even something more amazing?
Go ahead, yes.
Go to chapter 36 of the Quran. I believe that's Yasin. I believe. Again, I haven't memorized all the names. Chapter 36.
Yeah, it is Yasin.
Okay, Yasin. All right, do me a favor. Do you have Ibn Kathir? Do you have Ibn Kathir?
I do.
Can you go to Ibn Kathir? Start reading from verse ayah 13 about the three messengers. Three messengers. He's going to tell you that the Salaf say it's Shamun, Yohanna, Bolus.
Okay, I see it. Okay, so
who is it? What are the names? Yeah.
So then Shamun, Yohanna, and Bolus.
Wait. Ibn Kathir says that the names are Shamun, Simon, Yohanna, John, and Bolus, Paul?
Yes, Shamun, Yohanna, and Paul. Yeah, Bolus.
What's going on here, brother?
So what about the Antioch part? Is that correct?
No, this is one of the fictional stories of the Quran. I mean, they did go to Antioch. I'm not saying they didn't. They went to Antioch. But this is a story that the Quran made up. No one has any idea what in the world Muhammad is talking about. Three messengers went, and there was a young man there who got killed. He became a shaheed. Nobody has any clue what in the world Muhammad was thinking. But what's the beauty about it is, in explaining who the messengers are, it says Simon, John, and Paul. But you understand what that means, right? What are they called?
Simon. So is that the same Simon?
Yes,
that's
Simon
the
Peter.
Father of Alexander.
No. Simon Peter.
No, sorry, that was a different person.
Simon Peter, Putros. His name was Simon Peter.
Simon Putros. So it is Peter. Okay.
Peter, and then John, who wrote the Gospel of John.
And then Paul.
Okay, Paul. But now, did you know what they're called? They're called messengers. But messengers are those who receive wahi, revelation.
Yeah.
So why is the Quran saying that Peter, John, and Paul are messengers when messengers receive revelation, meaning they're inspired, wahi? So that means here the Quran is agreeing with the Bible. Jesus' apostles were inspired with revelation from the Holy Spirit.
So then why is there this narrative of evil Paul in the Muslim apologetics world?
One of two reasons. Either they're ignorant, they don't know their Islamic sources, or they're liars and deceivers and sons of the devil. You take your choice.
Another renowned commentary, Al-Qurtubi, says about Surah 61:14. It was said that this verse was revealed about the apostles of Jesus. May peace and blessing be upon him. Ibn Ishaq stated that among the apostles and disciples that Jesus sent to preach, there were Peter and Paul who went to Rome, Andrew and Matthew who went to the land of the cannibals, Thomas who went to Babel in the eastern lands, Philip who went to Africa, John went to Daxos, which is the tribe to whom the sleepers of the cave belonged, Jacob went to Jerusalem, Bartholomew went to the lands of Arabia, specifically Al-Hijaz, Simon who went to the barbarians, Judas and Barthas who went to Alexandria and its surrounding regions. Allah supported them, the apostles, with evidence so that they prevailed, thahirin, meaning they became the party with the upper hand. Just as it is said, an object appeared on the wall, meaning it is clearly visible, aluwat, on the wall. Allah, who is glorified and exalted, knows the truth better, and to him is the return and retreat. Notice how Al-Qurtubi had no qualms in admitting that Paul was a legitimate follower of Christ. If Al-Qurtubi is correct, then this means that Paul was one of the followers whom God gave the power to overcome the unbelievers and prevail. Christian readers especially will be interested to learn that the Quran teaches that Jesus was God's best prophet, and that Christians will be placed above non-believers until the day of judgment. Does it surprise you to learn that the Quran may have been intended for Christians to confirm all that they had been taught by Christ? The first time I read this verse, 354, in the Quran, I could hardly believe my eyes. Even today, any Muslim I discuss this verse with is shocked. In the Quran, God tells all Muslims that the followers of Jesus will be exalted above the disbelievers until the day of resurrection. While there are some verses in the Quran that promise the world to the Muslim people if they follow its teachings, these are followed up with predictions that they will disobey their holy book and not uphold its commands. God's prediction that the Christians will succeed in doing so is even clearer in the following verse. Most Muslims obtain their understanding of the Quran from the interpretations of their religious leaders. Few ever question what they are told to believe, but the Holy Book contains many messages that might shock them from their complacency. For example, in the Quran, there is a verse saying, "And remember when they schemed, and Allah schemed, and Allah is the best of schemers." The above verse says very simply that Christians will be above non-believers until the resurrection. Moreover, the Quran states, "Do not falter and feel saddened since you are superior if you are believers." The most reasonable conclusion to this is that among all believers, whether they are Jews, Christians, or Muslims, only one group will be above the non-believers, and only one group will be superior. That group will be comprised of the believers who are the followers of Jesus, Christians. Hence, Muslims are in a dilemma that they cannot easily resolve. Namely, to accept the Quran is to accept Pauline Christianity. Yet to accept Pauline Christianity is to reject the Quran, since the Quran contradicts the core teaching of Paul as has been preserved in the pages of the Holy Bible and among true Christians historically.